Welcome to Therapy Facts with Dr. Jenn. We are talking about the therapy facts gleaned from the Monique Shannon Sharp interview at Club Shay Shay. Point number 4 is willingness to forgive. So, Monique had a ton to say on Shannon Sharp's Truth Couch, honey. She named names, pointed fingers, talked about feelings, talked about heartbreak, and demanded accountability. But then guess what? After demanding accountability, she talked about being willing to forgive. She talked about, come on back across the street. We have the light on for you and we're ready to embrace you again. Now, that is a huge controversy. How many of us are holding grudges for a lifetime? How many times do people come to therapy and they're holding grudges that are having a negative impact on their own lives and refusing to forgive because they believe that to forgive is to agree? Now, Monique makes it very clear that there are steps to forgiveness. She wants accountability. She wants repayment, reparations, remuneration. All of those are some of my favorite words. She wants payback. And then she is ready to talk about forgiveness. And even with forgiveness, she understands that she has to depend upon the other person wanting to remain or resume relationship and or wanting to be in a forgiving posture. And so she's okay with that. But what's cool about what she is doing is being open to forgiveness. And she's saying, hey, I'm not going to carry this boulder of resentment around with me. And in fact, according to her, even without the apologies and the reparations and the accountability that she wants from people, and she wants public accountability, right? Even without that, she is not carrying boulders of resentment around. Now, again, like I said, Monique is a live out loud example of this, of being in a forgiving posture in the extreme. And so I don't expect people who come to therapy to leave after their first session being able to have Monique's posture. Monique gave a clear shout out to her therapist and her husband who helped her to grow up and then to grow through these experiences that she shared with us on that couch. And so even she talked about it's a process, but wow, it looks great. It looks great on her, and it contributes to great mental health. And so when people come to therapy and they're trying to find their voice and they are needing to articulate what has been perpetrated against them, they are needing to learn how to advocate for themselves, either against the current, perpetrators or against people who are currently perpetrating against them in a different way. And then being able to move toward forgiving the people who have wronged them. Most of the time in therapy, the requirement is to forgive without payback, without even an apology. Because as I said, people who really wrong other people rarely come to therapy. It is usually the people who have been wronged who show up for therapy. And so very often those people committed those behaviors or committed those assaults against the people who come to therapy because of the skill set that they had. They would have apologized. First of all, they would have refrained from the behavior in the first place, or they would have apologized well before the person has come to therapy if they had the skill set to do so. And so helping people see that they can forgive someone without necessarily getting an apology or having people to take accountability. A person doesn't have to take formal public accountability for a behavior that they have perpetrated against someone else for that person to know that that behavior was harmful, the client to know that the behavior was harmful, back then, and continuing to have a negative impact on their lives at the present. You don't need somebody to validate for you that what they did to you was harmful. However, Monique talks about validation, accountability, and public recompense. That is what she needs for forgiveness. However, as I said, for most people, we're not going to get that. And so a best case scenario is to work through the recognition of the perpetration, the pain of the perpetration, and giving people in your own mind credit for what they have already done. And then working through to be able to forgive them so that you can, or the typical client can, stop carrying around the boulder of resentment and revenge. It's great if you can get a public apology or validation. Even if you do, you still get the option of resuming a relationship with that person or not. For most people who have carried around this kind of pain for a long time, they're not interested in a renewed relationship. And there's no requirement that forgiveness and renewed relationship go together. Most of my clients end up forgiving people without an apology and then moving on with their lives. They are not interested in a relationship, in an ongoing relationship. And so either way, you have the choice. If you're interested in an ongoing relationship and you get what you need from that person in order to be able to forgive them, then great. Or if you don't get what you need from the person, but you're able to forgive anyway, and you want a renewed relationship, go for it. That's your choice. If you don't get what you need from the person and you're able to forgive them and you don't want any additional relationship, that is your choice too. Those elements of forgiveness do not come together as a package. They are all a la carte. Again, Monique is doing the thing, and she's a great example, and she has much to teach us about being willing to forgive.